Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone. I hope you're checking out 1 hour of 5 Yard Rush, one of the best podcasts on NFL football in the UK.
Hello, good evening, and welcome along Rush Nation to the Flagship show here on a Monday. I am, as ever, Dan, and as you can probably tell, Murphy's away on holiday. He's having a good time sunning himself at Centre Parks, I believe. So in his absence, we lost one big Buccaneer fan. So I decided to invite another big Buccaneer fan on to join me. And I'm joined by Ali Cook. Ali, how are you, sir? You well?
Yeah, really good. Thank you, Dan. Just thanks for having me on. It's always good to talk. We'll try not to talk about Buccaneers. I don't think we've got too many to talk about today, but it's always good when we get together and can have a chat about the team.
I'm really like good. The Flagship show with about 2 Buccaneers fans. So.
Exactly. Got to make up the numbers.
Ali, for those that don't know, tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you. Talk us through that a bit.
I'm over at FF Dynasty Grill. I started a Dynasty page a couple of years ago. 3 years ago now, 2019. It was We Are Dynasty Football, I think. And I didn't plan on doing much with it, to be honest, but I had a few people reach out to me and just ask me some Dynasty questions. And it just felt really good to be able to help a couple of people. And they came back to me and said, look, I won the league and, fantastic. So it just gave me that drive to try and produce content. I've always been into writing content. I've written some football content before in the past, a lot about Chelsea and transfer and stuff like that before. So I enjoy writing, so that's where it started. And then, just changed my page to FF Dynasty Grill, and it's gone really well so far. And I just love interacting with people and just sharing ideas, pretty much. And so it took off and just started writing articles for King Fantasy Sports and the Touchdown, and just carried it on, and here we are.
And you co-host a part of your own pod as well, which I'm a big fan of listening to every week. Tell us about that.
The Fantasy Wildcard, it's fantastic. It's just basically now, it's like 3 mates talking to each other. It's Kevin, Matt, and myself. We're now growing our team as well. So there's 6 of us. There's going to be a new show coming out soon for the start of the season, which is incredibly exciting. We started. Well, I joined just over a year ago before last year's Streamathon, and it's coming up to this year's Streamathon, which will be this Saturday. It's 16 hours where we just talk Dynasty football. We talk about every single NFL team, and it is fantastic. We've got some great guests coming on. Looking forward to it, and just most importantly, raising money for Mind Charity. We raised a great amount of money last year, so I know it's difficult times this year, but we're hoping to raise a bit more money this year and just have a really good day of it. We're going to be releasing all the content as podcasts if you can't catch up during the day. So it's going to be a fantastic day. It's a bit of a grueling day, but it's incredibly rewarding.
It is. I listened to, I'm not going to lie, I didn't listen to all of it last year. I dipped in and out as and when time allows. 16 hours, doing this for an hour and a half every week is enough. So 16 hours, I have full respect for what you guys do. The fact that you do it to raise funds for those in need as well is fantastic. And seeing the list of guests you've got coming on, there is a literal plethora of talent joining you throughout. And I'm sure if people tune in, they will take something away from the show. And no matter what they say, they join in. So fully recommend that. And I'm sure we'll get you to give it one more bash at the end before we call it a day to remind people where and when it is.
Yep.
But to today, you're here. We had a chat. We're going to have a look back at the winners and losers of the draft. So me and Murph looked at the NFL draft a couple of weeks ago. We spoke about some obvious key winners and losers, but we wanted to dive a bit deeper into it, a bit into the redraft season coming up and those players that we feel really might benefit from the situation they now find themselves in, and those that potentially may harm you in redraft this year, rather than the dynasty aspect of the longer term and things working out. We thought we'd sit and have a little look into this year, a bit more of an immediate impact. Some of the charity competitions invites are going out for. So those players that might help you in those leagues or potentially hinder you the other way. So I thought we'd have a little run through position by position, perhaps, and see what we thought. So let's start at the top, shall we? QB winners. Who sort of sticks out to you as being a a really good proposition this year for redraft based on those factors.
Well, to start off with, I think the obvious one was the big trade of the night, which was AJ Brown getting traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, which was a massive shock for me. It was getting late in the night, and I thought, did I see that right? Have they just traded AJ Brown to the Eagles? And the quarterback, obviously Jalen Hurts, is a massive winner for redraft this year. Obviously, longer term implications might not be great for Hurts if he can't take the next step, but fantastic for this year. Now he's got two really good weapons on the outside. He's got a great tight end. We know the rushing ability that Jalen Hurts brings to that offense. So Jalen Hurts got to be the biggest winner of the night, probably for me, to get an elite target in AJ Brown. I personally don't like it for AJ Brown, but for Jalen Hurts is fantastic. He's going to be. We know the rushing that he brings. If he can have that again this year, he was already a top fantasy quarterback last year. So now the fact that he's got not just Devonta Smith in his second year, looking to take that next step, but AJ Brown, who is an elite target, he's going to be one of the first quarterbacks drafted in redraft for sure this year, and probably will be for me as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm someone who's higher on Hurts than most. I think coming into last year, people said he needed to have a big year as he's proved himself year and so on. And he took I think it's fair to say, a mediocre Eagles team to the playoffs, which I think was the best they could aspire to last year. They obviously have traded. They've got AJ Brown, as you say, which is a huge addition to that roster for them. More importantly as well, I think they didn't go out and draft somebody to rival Hurts at the position either, which it only wanted a young pretender to be coming in, whether it be a 4th, 5th round pretender even, somebody that they could go, well, if he doesn't perform, there's a backup there waiting to step in who could do this job. The Eagles have gone, no, we've seen enough. Last year was his prove it year. He delivered. Let's give him the tools, let's back him, and let's move forward. And they've took that pressure off. A bit like, I guess, the Dolphins didn't do with Tua at the time when they had Fitzpatrick around. They had that do we, don't we? They haven't got that debate. They haven't got that argument. They've done away with one side of it. We're rolling with Tua, with Hurts, sorry. And as you say, AJ Brown's a huge addition into that roster for him. So I'm expecting big things from Hurts this year. So anybody else kind of stick out to you?
Yeah, Davis Mills is another one. Pretty similar to what you just said, really, there, and that they didn't. The biggest winner for me because they didn't draft any competition, which was a bit of a surprise. But just knowing the fact that them rookies were in free fall in the draft, and they were expecting Malik Willis to go round 1. I know a lot of some in the media had him going number 2 overall to the Lions, but he obviously fell completely out of round 1 and then out of round 2 as well. So for them not to even be tempted by any of the rookie quarterbacks that fell to the 3rd, 4th, 5th round just spoke a lot about their belief in Davis Mills to take that step forward. I think I personally like what I saw from him last year. He wasn't flashy, but there was a few good games fantasy-wise. And the fact he didn't really have a lot to play, he had Brandon Cooks and not a lot else there, to be honest. And now they've upgraded that. They've given him some extra weapons. They've drafted John Mechie, who I'm quite high on as a rookie. They drafted a guard in round 1 in Kenyon Green, so they're wanting to protect him as well. And just speaks volume of their confidence in him, and just the fact if he can potentially be a decent quarterback too for you this season. He produced good enough numbers last year, and I think he can be good enough. And then longer term, he could secure that quarterback spot for the Texans.
Yeah, I agree. As in a redraft league where it's super flex or a QB2 or you need a 3rd QB, Davis Mills' value at the minute is way down on the board. He's going to be a guaranteed starter as it stands. Obviously, there's a few QBs out there in possibly available for trades in Garoppolo and people like that. But at the minute, there's no reason why the Texans haven't shown any faith in Davis Mills to roll with him through the year. So I have to agree. I think he did fair for what he had to work with last year. And this, I think, is his prove it year, but I think he's shown enough to say that he could perhaps deliver. One I put down on here was Tua. I mentioned him a little bit earlier that the Fitzpatrick situation went and they kind of rolled with him. And again, this year they've gone out and it wasn't necessarily from the draft, but free agency. They went out and got Tyreek Hill. And again, similar to the two we've mentioned, they didn't draft another quarterback in. And they have kind of now supplied Tua with the weapons to really prove themselves, I feel. So
Yeah.
Again, probably falls in that wide receiver 2 bracket, would you say?
Yeah, quarterback 2 for me. I've got plenty of belief in Tua. I had him as my rookie quarterback 1 over Joe Burrow, so I do hope that he can take that next step. But it's going to be a make or break year for Tua. I think if he doesn't show enough and he doesn't maybe send the Dolphins to the playoffs with all the weapons that he's got this year, then I think they may look to move him on. But I think he's got all the tools to produce. I think he was absolutely fine last year. I think his stats were good. He won games for the Dolphins. He didn't turn the ball over too much. He made some silly mistakes, but then you're going to do that. You know, he missed a lot of time because of the injury. So I'm all in for Tua this year. Certainly as the quarterback 2.
Yeah, if you can't perform with Tyreek Hill as a receiver, then you're probably not going to, right? So
exactly, yeah.
Another couple I wrote down was Drew Lock and Geno Smith. Now, I guess I've got them as winners by the fact that the Seahawks didn't, against all expectation, go and get a QB as they started falling. They obviously acquired Lock as part of the trade for Russell Wilson, and whether they're happy with what they've got in the house or not remains to be seen. As you said, there's a few QBs out there potentially available for trade and so on. Do you see one of them getting that starting role and benefiting, or do you think there's still moves to be had in the QB room in Seattle?
I'm in two minds because I think that they should 100% roll with Drew Lock or Geno Smith for this year, because I don't see them competing in that division. It's such a tough division. I think they shouldn't use any of their assets they got for next year to try and trade for Jimmy G, because they're not going to get where they need to be with that quarterback. So they should absolutely roll with one of those two guys this year. See what they got in Drew Lock. I mean, he's got decent weapons around him in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. He's got a good tight end. Noah Fant, obviously, he's full aware of from his time in Denver. So I think they should roll with those two. And just it's likely that they're going to get pretty high draft pick come next year. Then they might be in a position to take a quarterback. But knowing Pete Carroll, he's never in rebuild mode. He's always in try and win now and we saw that in the draft by taking the running back Kenneth Walker, a sort of a win now move rather than a view for the future. So, I mean, who knows what they're going to do? But if it was me personally, I'd roll with those two guys, and I think they might well do that now.
I also don't see Jimmy G being a particularly cheaply acquirable trade, being this in division as well. I can't see the Niners wanting to. And they want him off their roster, I guess, to an extent, if they're happy with that. But I think at the minute they'd sooner sit and keep him and see how Lance goes than necessarily strengthening a division opponent there. So, what about on the flip side to that? What about losers? Who do you feel come out of the draft that you may be looking to shy away from a little bit, or who do you feel didn't benefit very well from it?
Yeah, there's quite a few losers actually. A couple of big ones that lost key weapons. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers with Devontae Adams. I personally, it's obviously a big loss to have maybe the best wide receiver in the NFL to lose him. But at the end of the day, it is Aaron Rodgers, so you're not going to see him fall off the hill and just finish as a quarterback 18 or something like that. He's going to be top 10 with whatever weapons he's got. So I've not got too many worries about Rodgers. He might be a decent target for me in drafts this year because that value I think you're going to get from Rodgers. I think people are going to pass on him because of the loss of Duante Adams, but it's certainly a loser for sure because, I mean, he was the MVP with Devonta Adams last year, so it's definitely a loss. And then Justin Fields, so staying in that division, I think is a massive loser this year. Just losing Allen Robinson, all right, he didn't really show up at all last year, but then just didn't replace him really with anybody of note. I think they've got Byron Pringle and then they've got the rookie, the 24-year-old rookie that is very fast and can be impressive, but I've just not got much faith in that organization as a whole, to be honest, and it just might stunt his growth from year 1 to year 2 for Justin Fields, which is a shame because I absolutely love what he showed last year. Some flashes. It's obviously a Konami code quarterback that can do it all in fantasy, but definitely has to be a loser for me just because I think if they'd give him decent weapons around him, then it could have been a really good season for Justin Fields. But I just worry that he might get a bit overdrafted this year because of his rushing, but the fact that he's not got decent weapons to throw to now.
I get that. I mean, I saw somewhere that they asked Justin Fields for a list of receivers he'd be happy with and wanted to work with and would look forward to. And also they did get Willis Jones, and apparently he was on that list. He was somebody that Fields was happy to have join their roster. So I guess they didn't support him to the general eye in terms of a big name stud receiver coming in, of which there was a few in the draft, but I guess they have in the fact that they've gone and got someone he asked for. And Aaron Rodgers has been asking for a wide receiver of note for years, and they never deliver. So the Bears, in that regard, I guess, have kind of backed their man. It just probably isn't in the name that we all expect, but maybe they're happy doing it that way. Maybe they see something we don't.
It's difficult to judge when we've not seen him play in the NFL yet, Willis Jones. So you can't judge too quickly. An older prospect in the NFL, he could come in and be the next Tyreek Hill. You don't know. He might fit in really well with Justin Fields, and then Darnell Mooney could take the next step again. He was fantastic last year. The chemistry between those two. So he's still got okay weapons, but I think they had plenty of cap room as well. I think they could have helped out their year two guy.
That's fair enough. One of the ones I thought missed out perhaps was Marcus Mariota. Obviously, he got picked up by the Falcons. Looks set to be the starter on the leaving of Matt Ryan. I think he was an old offensive coordinator in there now as head coach of his as well, so knows the system and the setup. And then obviously they go and pick up Desmond Ridder. And to my eyes, I can't see a world where Ridder doesn't, not necessarily start week one, but certainly doesn't take that role at some stage during this season. Are you of similar mind?
Yeah, I think so. I think just the fact that the Falcons as well, I don't think they're going to be a very good team come this year, that they're going to want to just at least look at what they've got in their rookie and Desmond Ridder with an eye on the future. So I can see Mariota probably starting the first 6 to 8 games, and then if they're like 2-6 or something like that, then I think they're gonna take a look at Desmond Ridder, because I think they've got a decent quarterback in Ridder. He's a great leader. They've obviously drafted Drake London in the first round. They've started to bring in some added weapons. Obviously, Kyle Pitts is going to go crazy in year 2. So I agree with him being a loser, because I think Desmond Ridder will certainly be the quarterback come the end of the season.
Fair. And the other two we got on our list, both of the Titans here. We've got Malik Willis, who's obviously fallen, and the fact that perhaps he was coming out as most people's QB1 from the draft, and he's fell in a spot where, well, let's face it, he's not going to start this year, barring an injury, quite possibly. And the one that goes hand in hand with that, I guess, is Ryan Tannehill, because the Titans have gone out and got a young QB to sit behind him. So where do you sit on them two?
Well, Tannehill, I think, loses the most through the AJ Brown trade, and the fact that he was brilliant. His stats are brilliant with AJ Brown in the lineup, but then when AJ Brown's not in the lineup, they're not very great at all. And I think the Titans are still all in this year, so I think he's got to be a little bit careful. They got the number 1 seed last year, so they're still a decent team in their own right, but I think they're going to take a step back just because Treylon Burks is a great wide receiver. He's still in my top tier rookie coming in, but he's not AJ Brown, certainly not in year 1. So I don't think it's a like-for-like replacement, and I think it'll take him time to get correlated into the NFL. And in that respect, I think Ryan Tannehill definitely takes a step back. This year, he's got Robert Woods coming in, who's coming off a major injury. But I'm a big fan of Robert Woods, so I hope he can take up that mantle and help Ryan Tannehill. And then Malik Willis again. I don't see him start. I don't see a way he's starting this year. Just the amount that he fell. I think Ryan Tannehill gets the whole year. I think they make the playoffs just because of how weak that division is. But then if he can't take the next step to get them to the Super Bowl or close, then I think they will look to replace Tannehill maybe next year. I think there's an out on his contract. So I think in a year's time, Malik Willis becomes interesting. But right now, he's definitely a loser just with how much he fell. It was pretty shocking to me. And obviously the NFL team saw a lot of concerns in Malik Willis to that far. So they've both got to be losers.
Yeah, me and Murph spoke a lot before around the show on just after the draft about how all of the organizations must have been so low on the QBs coming out this round, because there are still viable QBs out on the open market or out available for trade. They're not getting picked up, so you presume these guys are going to go and draft the cheaper option, and yet they still never. which just says, we mentioned earlier, Drew Lock. If Drew Lock goes in this draft, the chances are he goes in the first round as one of these teams anyway. So it just gives you an idea as to quite where the organisations, and I guess the experts in that manner, are on these young QBs this year. So I think I agree with you. I think someone like Desmond Ridder will potentially have some kind of fantasy value late on if you're in a super flex redraft somewhere, and you can get him at a reasonable price. I think it might be worth taking a flying punt on, because I think he will. They're going to be behind. They're going to have to throw the ball. They've got receivers around him. Whereas someone like Malik Willis, I think, almost bar an injury, becomes undraftable in redraft this year.
Yeah,
for me. So
yeah, I agree. And I think if you're going to take Marcus Mariota, I think you're able to get him quite late on. Why don't you take Desmond Ridder as well, really late on? So then you've got the pair. If Mariota doesn't see out the season, you can bring in Desmond Ridder for them last few games.
It really does feel like a Garoppolo and Lance last year, right?
Yeah, big time.
I wonder if we'll see Tom banging the drum for the young guys he does the Niners Trey Lance, but we shall see. So moving on then, running backs. We'll go through a similar process again. I mean, who are your winners in the running back position? Who benefited for you?
James Conner is a big winner for me, just again because they didn't look to really bring in a decent name back. There was a lot of speculation that one of the two big running backs, Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker, were going to get drafted, or the Cardinals were interested in that second round, and they never got aggressive. It never happened, and I think they brought in one rookie running back, Keontae Ingram, and I mean there's now James Conner, and Ingram, and the names eluding me of the other second year running back, but there's not a lot of competition behind Conner right now. I
Eno
mean,
Benjamin.
That's it, Eno Benjamin.
Yeah, how can you forget Eno?
Of course, now. But yeah, I mean, he's hardly seen the field. I mean, he have that one. He had maybe one game or one flash last season. I can't remember, but yeah, I mean, it's not exactly got Chase Edmonds behind him. It's not like a 1A 1B. He's gonna be the guy. And I mean, he got so many touchdowns last season. I can't see any of the other running backs taking that sort of goal line back role off him. So again, he's going to be a decent value, I think, in redraft leagues this year, just because it is a high powered offense with Kyler Murray and then weapons. Yep. So I think James Conner is definitely a big winner coming into the season.
Well, Conner did really well on his touchdown scores last year as well. It was a big part of him in fantasy terms. I can't see it regressing. I don't think it was because he was the only one there. I don't think it was anything. I think they were designed situations. They were designed plays for Conner in that offense, and I can't see that changing with what they've got there. So I expect him to deliver a very similar result again, based on that fact. They're just like it wasn't luck, it wasn't injuries. He got there based on the way the Cardinals' offense is set up, and it's almost in an identical situation this year. So, talking of touchdown scores, someone that really was hindered last year was Miles Sanders at the Eagles, and we spoke about Jalen Hurts and the AJ Brown trade, but I've got Miles Sanders as a winner of this draft for me, because I think the faith shown in Tua, and I think the faith shown in Sanders, despite the lack of touchdowns last year, is promising. I think the fact they brought in AJ Brown and some more offensive line help is going to benefit Sanders. And because of last year, he is at a very reasonable price based on redraft right now. And I can't see him having a 0 touchdown year again whatsoever. I really can't. Can you?
No, definitely not. I mean, they weren't the team that had the most rushing yards in the NFL, and it's just shocking to see that he didn't get any touchdowns. And yeah, he's definitely got to be a big winner, just because again they didn't look in the draft or really look in free agency to bring in another name to compete against him. It's going to be the same backfield we saw last year. We're going to get plenty of rushing from him, from the quarterback. So yeah, he's definitely got to be a big winner. Got to be positive regression. And they're going to be a more competitive team this year with that improved offense. I think the Eagles are in a decent position in the NFC East, and he's going to get plenty of opportunities to score this year. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think so. I think Miles Sanders is a big one for me. Anybody else there that sticks out to you as a nice pickup, or do you want to look at the losers?
Yeah, well, we've got Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Obviously, the rookie just come in. The Seahawks have said before the draft that they want to run the ball more. They're looking to
they
run
run the ball more? Can Pete Carroll physically run the ball more?
I mean, I think they're going to have to, just because they've not got Russell Wilson anymore to bail them out. They've got Drew Lock and Geno Smith, as we mentioned, so they're going to have to lean on that running game. It's going to be all Walker, and it's going to be some Penny. We don't know what Chris Carson's doing, whether he's ever going to play again. So Kenneth Walker's going to come in. They've drafted him early round 2, and it's just going to get a ton of work. Whether it's going to be plenty of touchdowns, we don't know what sort of scoring opportunities he's going to get. But in terms of PPR, I think he can catch the ball absolutely fine. There's talks that he didn't catch the ball a lot in college, but I know that he can do it. They're going to have to lean on him. And then Rashad Penny, he can't ever keep healthy, so he ended the year fantastically. But I think Kenneth Walker's going to come in and be the guy. They're going to lean on him, and he's just going to have a fantastic season just because of the amount of touches. He's going to be an extremely safe running back, and I think he might be a bit of a value just because he's a rookie, he's on a bad team, so people might look in a different direction. But he's going to be an extremely safe running back to take.
I agree with you. I mean, he's on a run-first offense at the best of times anyway. Chris Carson, as you said, personally, I can't see Chris Carson playing football again, but I hope for his sake he can if that's what he chooses to do.
Yeah.
Yes, I think the Seahawks enter the year with Rashad Penny being their running back 1. Probably for 3 weeks before Rashad Penny gets injured again. Let's face it, it's not going to be forever. So at some stage, I can see Kenneth Walker taking over the main role there. Whether it be through his ability or whether it be through default and injury. Young rookie, plenty of wheels on tire on the tread, in a run-first offense, without a star QB. He's going to get the workload and the carries anyway, regardless. So I agree. I think he's a runner. And I'm in a redraft draft right now, 12 team. He's gone 2 places after Rashad Penny. One at 10-7 and one at 10-9.
Wow.
Which I think Walker will outperform Penny this year, purely on the basis I think Penny misses games at some stage. As I say, I think Penny will start it, lead it. I can't see him being fit, which is why I think if Penny was a healthy back, you can move him up 3 rounds and Walker probably down 2. Mm-hmm. But with the injuries he's had and the history he's got, they're very similar, very close together in redraft, and I think their performance might be very similar. I wouldn't be surprised to see a very sort of Denver-esque last year performance where they had Devonta Williams and Melvin Gordon, and trying to rotate and keep them both healthy and give them a really equal workload to try and spread that out to protect Penny as much as anything else.
Yeah, so, Penny's missed. I think Penny's missed 29 games in his 4-year career so far. So it just shows that he can't be trusted to be healthy for at least half the season would be a decent season for him.
Probably a good best ball pickup. Beyond that, trying to pick which game he's going to go down in is going to be horrendous, I guess. So, we did say we'd steer clear of the Bucs as much as possible, but another winner I've got, and it might not stand out to everybody, I guess, is Leonard Fournette. And I guess we've looked before now about the winners being somewhere where competition hasn't been drafted. Now, the Bucs did draft Rachaad White fairly early on in the draft as well. I don't see that taken away from Fournette. I actually see that as it's another back to help rest Fournette, which will actually benefit him over the course of the season. Does that make sense to you as a Bucs fan as well? Or?
Yeah, definitely, because they completely lost faith in Ronald Jones last year. I mean, he was pathetic. He was pathetic trying to catch the ball, and obviously Tom Brady wants to throw the ball to his back. So bringing in someone that can catch the ball. We saw Fournette get injured towards the playoffs as well. He missed a couple of games, so he's a key player for the Buccaneers, and they want to keep him healthy, as you said. So to have Rachaad White, I think he can come in straight away. It'll be a bit of him, a bit of Keyshawn Vaughn, a bit of Gio Bernard on the side as well. I think they're all going to help Fournette because he's 100% is going to be the back, and I'd bet my house on him being the top 10 running back again this year because Tom Brady loves him. The organization loves him. He catches a ton of balls. I think he was the top target running back or in the top 2 or 3 anyway from last season. So again, I think it only helps him keep fresher for the season. So I don't think, as you mentioned, I don't think it takes away from him. I think it actually helps him for this year.
That's it. I think his opportunities will lessen, but I think if he misses 15% of the opportunities, I think that's better than missing 3 games for injury. And I think that's what it will allow him having that extra back in there. So Fournette for me is somebody who, if he can stay healthy with the offense the Bucs have got, could be looking at a top 5 running back performance if they all get injured like they did last year, and especially in PPR leagues. So I think it's a huge opportunity. What about the losers at the position? I know there's going to be one that's going to jump right out to most people, but who are your losers at the running back position?
Yeah, we might as well start and get them out of the way, but it's sorry, Matt, but it's Michael Carter, and fair play to him. He's admitted that Michael Carter is pretty much done in fantasy. I do see a small role for him, but then there's also other running backs that he shared the work with last year that are still there, and Ty Johnson and that. So I don't think it's just going to be all Breece Hall and then Michael Carter catching the third down passes. I do think that there's going to be some others in there as well. So if anybody hoped Michael Carter could be a sneaky sort of running back 1, running back 2 this year, it's not going to happen now. It's going to be all Breece Hall. He's complete 3 down back. He can do it all. So Michael Carter, we always had to be wary of him with that draft capital that he got. He's always going to be wary that the Jets could strike, especially with their early picks, and they have. So unfortunately, Michael Carter, you've got to just, I don't know, just stop thinking about him now. He's someone that you could throw in late just because of injuries. Breece Hall could pick up an injury. But yeah,
handcuff.
He's a handcuff. That's all he is now. But yeah, definitely a high, decent handcuff. He's up there with the better ones now, because we've seen what he can do when he was given most of the work last season. So he's only 1 injury away, which is why we always say to pick up these handcuffs from being really relevant.
Especially in a redraft, especially if it's something like a charity competition, it can make or break your opportunities and your chances in that. So slightly off topic, still on Michael Carter. If I've got a complaint because I've spent most of my time from January to April going out and acquiring Michael Carter, do you have a way of contacting Matt so that I can officially blame him personally for this?
Absolutely, I can give you his name, address. I give you his telephone number.
Awesome.
But I was with you as well, just because
I like Michael Carter anyway. I fell into Matt's trap. I bought it even more. I went out and acquired probably 4 or 5 additional Michael Carter shares to what I had anyway, and then in the space of the night threw the lot away. So thanks, Matt.
At least you got Tom Brady off me for the 4th round pick.
I did. Yes, I forgot all about that. That was about 2 days after he retired, I believe. I think I offered you like the 410 for Tom Brady, which
that was a genius
could be
move.
The steal of the year this year. So I also went out and got a load of Antonio Brown in different places last year when he went for 4th round picks, but they don't look quite as promising right now. So.
No.
Other losers at the position? I mean, Rashad Penny's one. Obviously, we mentioned the fact that a young competition's come in there, even if he does lead out, let's say, whether it be for ability or whether it be for injury. I think Rashad Penny's season's going to be hindered somewhat. The other one that I came to may not be an obvious one, I guess, but Zach Moss. I mean, he kind of was a loser last year anyway. I think he was the lead back going into the year, and for whatever reason, Singletary showed him up big time and took that role clean off him. And now the Bills have gone out and drafted James Cook as well. And James Cook, I think, is going a bit earlier for my liking, but I think that literally spells the end of Zach Moss, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think I was surprised that they took James Cook that early, just because I don't see him having a 3 down skill set like a Breece Hall or a Kenneth Walker. I thought they were going to target someone like that. Just someone different to what they've already got. He sort of just fits the same sort of role that Devin Singletary. He's a great pass catcher. James Cook is a smaller back, so he's not going to shoulder all the work. But yeah, Zach Moss, he was disappointing for me because I bought into him last offseason just with the hope that he could be that number 1 back. And for whatever reason, he didn't bring it. And the Bills, they're a great organization. They're smart. So they obviously don't see a lot in him. And he's just an afterthought now. So it's all Singletary. I think Singletary was a big winner. But yeah, Zach Moss is not someone that I'm interested in taking. But another loser that I've thought of is Antonio Gibson of the Washington Commanders, as really? They are now. Just for some reason, I mean, I'm one of his biggest fans, I have to say, so I hate putting him in this category, but they drafted a rookie running back this year, and they obviously don't believe in Antonio Gibson. I think he's got all the skill set to be a 3-down back. They don't toss in the ball enough. I think he can be fantastic. He's sort of Christian McCaffrey light. He's obviously not. He's not up there with McCaffrey, but I saw a lot in him, and I've still got loads of shares of Gibson, but I've had to just move him down with rankings, and even for this year, not just for Dynasty. I think that it's not going to be all of him this year. There's certainly more competition. Just that organisation, they don't believe in Antonio Gibson as much as a lot of us Dynasty and fantasy players do now.
Yeah, I don't see Robinson taking a huge workload from Gibson, but even before the end of the season, we saw, I want to say Patterson from memory, take a bit of that workload off him. And I think, again, that's the Commanders as it now is, I think, protecting him. He's had some injury trouble and so on. So I think they're always going to be wary of putting all their faith and all their eggs in that basket, and that basket coming up unhealthy again. It's too big a proposition for them to go down on, I guess. So how about your wide receivers? Anyone jump at you as being a huge benefit?
Yeah, Michael Pitman stands out. Had a fantastic year. Yeah, he was fantastic year last year. I've got plenty of shares of Pitman. I've been a big fan of him from the start, and I think the fact that he's got Matt Ryan as his quarterback now, I think that's a big upgrade on Carson Wentz. I think that can only improve him. I think Matt Ryan still can absolutely sling it I think he's 36, 37 years old. So I think Pittman's in for a really good year. And then the fact that he avoided a lot of the big names. I know Alec Pierce landed there, who I'm a big fan of as well.
Me too.
I do see those two are very similar, but I think they're going to complement each other really well. There's two decent threats there. They can both go vertical. They can both win all over the field. Yeah. So I think Michael Pittman's got to be a big winner, and certainly interested in him in like the charity leagues, the redraft leagues. I think Michael Pittman is still quite undervalued in the community. I think there's a lot of people don't think that he can take that next step, but I'm interested to see what he can show with Matt Ryan this year.
I understand. I agree. They've got the running game to back it up as well. I think Alex Pierce was a great addition for them. It showed enough faith in Pittman that he can lead their offense while still giving him someone to complement his ability and skill. So I'm a huge fan of Michael Pittman personally. Anybody else jump at you in the wide receiver? Yeah, for me, I think Duante Johnson was a big one. I didn't put it on the list, so I've put it on the hop here, but they've grabbed Kenny Pickett, who, regardless of being a rookie and regardless of, as we said, the talent coming out in QB, has to be an upgrade on Ben Roethlisberger, right? And the ability to throw the ball. Mm-hmm. So would you agree? Do you think Duante Johnson can benefit there?
Yeah, big time. I'm a massive fan of Duante Johnson. Have been from the start. Absolutely love the guy. Probably still have him ranked lower than he should be, but he's just a fantastic wide receiver. He can do it all. And as you mentioned, it's definitely got to be a quarterback upgrade. But interested to see if Kenny Pickett can win that quarterback battle. I think he probably can, just because of the draft capital they put in him. I think they believe in him. They've always liked him from the start. So Duante Johnson, I think, a big winner. I think it's going to help that they've also got George Pickens coming in. Yep. I think he's an absolute beast as well. So they've got some decent weapons, and it's only going to help Duante Johnson get open more, and then Kenny Pickett can find him, because at the end of the season, Big Ben couldn't throw more than 5 or 10 yards. So definitely an upgrade.
So dependent on yards after catch, wasn't it? And
yeah,
I think Duante Johnson was wide receiver 8 in PPR leagues last year with a QB that couldn't throw the ball to him. So any kind of addition there is surely going to benefit him. I hope they can hit that timing and that rapport off straight away that you need. It may take a couple of weeks to get going, but AJ Brown's probably worse, and we may come on to that in a minute. But there's certainly a scope there for 1 or 2 position jump for me for Duante Johnson from that wide receiver 8 position already. So any others for you?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of rookies that we've got on the list. We've got Treylon Burks for the Titans coming in to replace AJ Brown. I mean, I can't see him doing it this season, but then he's just going to get so many targets because there's not that much competition to go round. Obviously, Robert Woods is there as well, but there's not an alpha. Julio Jones is now a free agent as well. It didn't really work out for Julio and the Titans. So I think Treylon Burks going to come in. Hopefully he's gone to a place where they're going to use him in the right way. They're going to use him on the line of scrimmage, take and dump off passes, some screens, but also some deep shots. And I think he can do it all. He's still in my top tier of my rookie wide receivers. I think he's going to have a fantastic year just because there is not that much competition for the Titans. I think they're a decent offense, obviously with the run game first, but that's only going to help Treylon Burks when the defenders are in the box trying to stop Derrick Henry. I think that's going to help Burks get open, and yeah, I think he could easily absolutely smash it in the first year because he's going to see so many targets come his way.
Yeah, I agree. I think Burks is a winner for me purely on the fact that AJ Brown isn't there anymore, and the Titans are going to have to throw the ball to somebody. He's going to have the opportunity to show his talent. Whether he grasps it or not is up to him and how he performs. But he cannot sit there and say he's behind anyone. He can't sit there and say he's a wide receiver 2 or 3 on that roster. He has walked into an open slot. All he's got to do now is deliver, and that's on him, I guess. So the other rookie I added to the list was Sky Moore. Somebody I think in drafts we've seen potentially before the draft and landing spot, may not even have gone, depending on where he went in a redraft league. But he went to the Kansas City Chiefs, a Tyreek Hill-less Kansas City Chiefs, no less. And I think that must have catapulted him up redraft boards purely on the basis that there's opportunities there for him, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was a rookie that I was interested in, but he wasn't in my. I had 6 wide receivers in my top tier, and he wasn't really close to them 6, to be honest. So I'm not moving him up massively, but just the fact that he's got Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball now, and as you mentioned, Tyreek Hill's not there to take all the targets. Obviously, Travis Kelce's going to be the number 1 target this year, but then for wide receivers, it's wide open. If he comes in and smashes it, then who knows how well he can do this year. I think he's definitely worth taking the shot on. Hopefully, his ADP's not creeped up, so it's not worth taking him that high. But then you've got Juju. I think Juju's still a fantastic player. He's still really young, so that could work out. And then you've got
Marquez Valdez. Straight line, it'd be Andy Reid, right?
Well, exactly, yeah. Hopefully, because we've seen the upside that Juju brings. So, but yeah, Sky Moore's got a perfect opportunity. He fell nicely to the Chiefs. It's a really good fit for him. So I'll definitely be interested in taking him late on in draft. But I'm just a bit worried that he's going to get overdrafted like he's in rookie drafts, just because of that landing spot. People are getting a little bit excited about him.
Yeah, I had him as a winner for me purely on the basis, similar to Burks, that his performance is within his control. If he can go in there and deliver and show that he's got the goods, he will become an effective player this year in fantasy. If he goes in there and whimpers about and doesn't deliver, he's going to be worthless. So depending on where he's drafted, I think it's a good chance to pick him up late in some drafts. I wouldn't necessarily go in there expecting a decent wide receiver 1-2 performance from him, perhaps. But he's certainly somebody that if he can hit his marks and can deliver, then he's certainly got the opportunity to break into that between wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 area. And in a redraft comp, it could be a really good pickup late in the draft. So, anyone else for you before we move on to the losers?
Yeah, so Rashad Bateman's got to be one of the biggest winners of the whole draft, just because, again, it was another trade on opening night, which was pretty shocking that, Hollywood Brown went to the Cardinals to pair up with Kyler Murray again. And it's a good move for him. And obviously Rashad Bateman now becomes the clear wide receiver 1. All right, it's not a team that likes to throw the ball that often. They're clearly a run-first team with Lamar Jackson. But we've seen Bateman, he really did flash last year. I really liked him coming out. So I think he can step up and be that wide receiver 1. They're obviously confident because the pick they got for Brown, they didn't try and grab a wide receiver. They didn't even pick a wide receiver at all in the draft. So they've obviously got plenty of belief in Bateman. So yeah, I think he could be a little bit overdrafted for me, but he's someone that is capable now. If he finishes a fringe wide receiver 1, it wouldn't surprise me because I think he's got what it takes and he's got a perfect opportunity. He's going to get a ton of targets. It's going to be him and Mark Andrews There's going to be a few others, but Bateman's going to be the number one target.
He is. So on the flip side, then, what about your losers there? Who are you not so happy with?
Well, the first one is probably Duante Smith, just because of the added competition with AJ Brown. It could end up going both ways. It could free him up a little bit more, but then the fact that this team doesn't throw the ball that much anyway, I think there's going to be less targets for Duante Smith. So it could just stunt his growth in year two. It's someone that I definitely believe in and is someone I'm interested in, but yeah, just the fact that AJ Brown is going to he's going to come in, he's going to command the number one target share. But it's going to be great for Jalen Hurts, as we mentioned, but Devonta Smith, perhaps not so much.
Fair. And one I put on there was Chase Claypool. Unlike Deontay Johnson, who I think will benefit from having Kenny Pickett there, I think Claypool's had some issues last year. He had the celebrating of the catch he had that weren't a first down that cost him and things. And I think the fact that the Steelers went out and got Pickens, I think could spell the end for Chase Claypool at the Steelers. If not this year, I think certainly going onwards. And I think he may start out the season okay. But I think as the year goes on, I think we'll just see Claypool's usage just deteriorate a little bit. Are you in agreement? Or
yeah, I am, and someone that I'm trying to jump off if I can. And it's someone that, again, a lot of people have got belief in Claypool, but I'm hearing behind the scenes he's a bit of a muppet. He's the organisation don't now believe in Claypool. So again, I think that was the reason they picked George Pickens. I think he's going to come in and be that wide receiver too, maybe even in his rookie year. And Claypool's going to get faded out. I think he certainly didn't take the step after his first year. Claypool was disappointing last year, and again, I'm looking to fade him this year. I think definitely got to be a big loser for me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just going to put another one up on here, and this one's a weird one because if we'd have done this show 2 weeks ago, I've got Chris Olave down. I think even a week ago, Chris Olave would probably have been a winner for me. The fact that he went into that Saints team with a very aggressive throwing Jameson Winston at QB, only a Michael Thomas really as competition, who's been out the game for 2 years. And I think Olave had a direct route to be quite high on that offense. And then we've seen recently that the Saints have gone out and picked up Jarvis Landry as well. So I have got that affecting Olave quite a bit. Would you keep him as a winner or a loser, or are you sitting on the fence on this one?
I think well, I mean, if Drew Brees comes back and becomes a quarterback, then like he's been talking about today, then he's never going to be able to reach Olave. But yeah, I think it definitely doesn't help him. And Jarvis Landry has been, I think he's a 5-time Pro Bowler. So, I mean, he's a decent wide receiver. So I probably wouldn't say he's a massive loser, Olave, but yes, always with a rookie coming in, you don't know what's going to happen. And then with Jameis Winston as well, are they going to let him unleash like we saw with Tampa Bay, or are they going to keep him under wraps and just be, on a bit of string and just control him a bit more? We saw
only last year he started out okay, but obviously they've had a head coach change as well, and our defensive coordinator's gone in at head coach. So yeah, there's a lot of unknowns around there.
There is a lot of
unknowns. I think Olave's performance this year for me is tied to Michael Thomas so much that if he can come back from an injury, I guess, that's been going on, I think there's something else that's gone on behind the scenes that perhaps we don't know for it to be that long. Whether he is healthy, whether his mind's in it, whether he can come back and pick up the game speed after so long out instantly. I think Olave is so much more tied to the outcome of Michael Thomas than it is anything else. And if Michael Thomas, let's face it, 2 years ago was going mid-first round in redraft leagues, he was a wide receiver one without a shadow of a doubt. And if 3/4 of that Michael Thomas comes back, I think Olave is a foul for me. If Michael Thomas doesn't get near that, then Olave could pick up that role.
Yeah, it's dependent on a few things happening, isn't it? And a lot of things could still happen before the season starts. So Michael Thomas is a target hog if he does get back to. He's still got plenty of time to get back to the lineup, and I believe he will at some point this year. It's a bit strange that we don't really know what's happening with that foot injury or his frame of mind. It's a bit of an odd situation, but yeah, if he's back, then he's going to be the number one target it's going to affect all the targets there.
Just to make you laugh as a Bucs fan, I did see a picture today that had the Saints playbook if Drew Brees does return. And it was literally the Madden shot of the play call of quick slants. And that was it. Landry one side, Thomas the other. And that was it. That was the extent of their playbook. We're just going to play quick slants with Drew Brees to these two. And I was like, they made it work for so long, the pair of them. They could probably do it again if they got into it. So, anyone else strike who's a loser at wide receiver?
We've got Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel. Again, it's the Commanders. Not really sure what they're doing, but Dotson for some was a reach in the draft. But I personally like Dotson. Not sure it's the best landing spot for him. Curtis Samuel's there. I mean, he was really disappointed in his first year there last year. I thought he could have had a really good season as that gadget player, but it didn't happen. And it could be a case of the two cancel themselves out. Terry McLaurin is obviously the target hog of that team. He's going to have another decent season. But those two could cancel each other out, and then Carson Wentz coming in. Who knows? I mean, it's got to be a bit of an upgrade.
Faith, does it?
Well, it's Heineke to Wentz. I do feel for the Commanders fans because it's
I'd kind of say if you put a Fitzpatrick in there with Dotson and Samuel and McLaurin, I reckon you'd probably just about make all of them viable as fantasy options. Just about somewhere in the late flex position. Having Carson Wentz in there probably destroys two of the three. Yeah,
completely agree.
So, another one I put down was Amon-Ra St. Brown. He wasn't somebody I was very high on anyway, and I'm still not. He delivered fantastically late on in the year last year. But the Lions have still gone out. They've got Jameson Williams coming in, who, barring the injury for me, was the wide receiver one coming into the draft. The Lions are going to have Hockenson back fit and healthy and a few other guys there that they struggled with last year. And I just cannot see St. Brown returning anywhere near the kind of numbers he did at the back end of last season. So, especially with Williams' addition. Do you agree? Or?
Yeah, I think to start off with, I think Brown's going to be fine because Williams is still an unknown whether he's going to be fit for the start of the season, how much time he's going to miss. But they got DJ Chark as well as a wide receiver again, someone that showed decent stats in the past that can still do it. So yeah, I just don't see. I'm a bit with you, Dan. I didn't quite see the fit with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He obviously done fantastic last season, but I think it was just because of the fact there was not many targets to go around, or not much competition, should I say, for St. Brown. So I think by default, I think he done rather well for where he was going in rookie drafts and the drafts last season, but I don't think he's going to repeat. I think people picking him up because he's probably still going to be drafted quite high this year. I think people will be a little bit disappointed with what he can produce.
Well, in that league I'm drafting right now, he went mid-10th round.
Okay.
Around the area of Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Brandon Ayuk. I think London and Mooney both have the potential to outscore him.
Oh, massive. Mooney and Drake London should be wide receiver ones on their team, and definitely got much more upside than what Amon-Ra St. Brown has got this year.
Fun. And briefly, tight ends, we haven't got too many notes on it, but one that stands out to me as a big winner. We mentioned the Bears earlier and how they didn't bring in any help for Justin Fields. This guy I'm a huge fan of, and we speak every year about what tight ends are going to break out. It was, who was the guy at the Cowboys? We've been expecting him to break out for 3 years, and
oh, God's sake, what's his name? I've forgotten his name because
is that relevant now?
Dalton Schultz has just taken. Oh, Blake Jarwin, that's the one.
Blake Jarwin. We're waiting for new Blake Jarwin for 3 years, and it never transpired, and they've let him go now. But the guy I'm a big fan of, and I think the fact that the Bears didn't bring any real competition for targets in it is Cole Kmet. It's someone I'm hoping to see big things for this year.
Yeah, but we agree with a lot of people, and Cole Kmet is someone that I've been banging the drum for last year. Certainly stepped up last year to produce okay figures, and again this year I think he's going to be someone that can break out. I can't see him reaching sort of the top tier, but certainly that as a solid tight end one, I can certainly see that in the realm of possibilities for Komet. He's got great size. He's definitely added to his route running ability. I think he's an absolute fine as a tight end you can take. If you don't take one of the top tight ends, I like to sort of double dip on tight ends a bit later on, and he's certainly someone I'd love to take in, and I will certainly be taken in. Definitely, yeah.
Is there anyone at tight end for you as a winner or a loser that you feel you want to mention?
Again, I think another one that I sort of put in this category is Irv Smith for the Vikings.
Yeah.
Again, they didn't add targets, wide receiver in the draft, so it's going to be someone that I think can finally break out. I've been talking about it for a couple of years now, but I absolutely love the talent, and it's certainly someone. If I could, take Irv Smith and Cole Kmet late on in a draft, I'd be happy to take them rather than if I miss out on one of the elite tight end guys. So I think they both got the capability of breaking out, and the Vikings offense is, it's really decent. Kirk Cousins is an underrated quarterback. So I think with Tyler Conklin moving on to the Jets, I think Irv Smith's got the chance to finally break out this year, hopefully.
Well, we spoke already about how your pal Matt has killed me with Michael Carter. We've gone through this draft, and me and you have agreed on a fair few things. So I'm going to lean my bias towards yourself now, Annie, and start listening a little bit more to what you say rather than Matt, because he's broke my heart. But Irv Smith's not one I'm with you on. Irv Smith, for me, is the next Blake Jarwin.
No.
I can't see him coming out. He had the injury. We'll see how he comes back. I don't know. I'd like to be proved wrong for his sake. But I just think with Jefferson, Thielen, Dalvin Cook, I just don't see Irv Smith getting enough opportunity to make him super relevant personally. Plus the injury.
I think it's make or break this year for Irv Smith. If he doesn't do it this year, then he's never going to do it unless he gets a fresh move away. And but it's certainly a big year for him. There's plenty of targets to go round. But I think Tyler Conklin was an okay tight end, and I think Irv Smith got a lot more upside than Tyler Conklin, and he produced some pretty decent stats last year. So I'm still holding a little bit of hope for Smith.
So with everything we've discussed taking in, you're in your redraft, you're in your charity competition, whatever it be, you're in your home league that you do every year. Who's that one player you're looking for? If they get to you, who's the one player you're not leaving drafts without this year?
Well, it's going to be a bit of a homer pick, but it's going to be Leonard Fournette, just for a lot of the reasons we said earlier. Lombardi Lenny, he's back to pick up another Lombardi this year with Brady. He's happy that he's finally got his contract. He's going to be a workhorse. There's not that many workhorses in the NFL. I think he's someone that can finish top 5, but you're not drafting him as a top 5 running back. He's going a lot later on in drafts in a fantastic offense that's going to have so many scoring opportunities. His competition, he's obviously lost Ronald Jones. His competition is now a rookie. Obviously, they drafted him fairly high in the 3rd round, but again, could take him a while to get used to the NFL. So there's him and Keyshawn Vaughn that's never really took that next step. So Leonard Fournette is a massive winner and someone that I'm looking to draft in. Once I take maybe my first top running back, if I can get him as my running back too, then I'm really happy with that.
You are, yeah. The other one you put down was James Conner, as we spoke about earlier. The offense is going to be the same as it was last year. There's no real reason sitting here today to believe that his performance is going to regress at all. So, if you pick up Fournette as a running back 2 and a Conner as a running back 3, and you've got a top 10 guy already sat on there, you're looking healthy. And even if you went, as most do, or some do these days, on a kind of less running back heavy approach, shall we say, and you pick up one of those early wide receivers, those top talents, and you leave a draft with Fournette and Conner as your 1 and 2, you're probably not going to be too disappointed with that anyway, because there's going to be weeks they're going to perform and win you matchups anyway. Yeah.
I mean, between them, they scored so many touchdowns last season. They're in very similar offenses this season. Conner, the Cardinals haven't got DeAndre Hopkins to the first, 6 games, so will they
the Bucs won't have Godwin either for a period of time. Similar position.
Exactly. So Fournette's going to catch a ton of passes again this year. So both of them are in great shape.
I have to agree with both of them. And what about a value pick? Have you got someone that, if it's there, you're okay with taking a punt on?
Yeah, so Devonta Smith, I think he showed great ability last year. I think he can take the next step this year, even with AJ Brown. I know perhaps his targets might go down, but again, I think he's just going to, because of the AJ Brown going there, I think people are going to just overlook him and think, well, I'm not taking him because AJ Brown is the wide receiver one in an offense that doesn't throw the ball much. But I think Devonta Smith's ability just stands out for itself, and I think he'll slip in drafts, and you'll be able to take him late on as your wide receiver 3, 4, 5 maybe. And if you go wide receiver heavy, and just feel really good about that. I do think the Eagles offense.
The one I'm in now, Amon-Ra St. Brown went at 10-6. Devonta Smith went after at 11-3.
Wow. Yeah, so I mean, Devonta Smith, I'd say his talent is head and shoulders above Amon-Ra St. Brown, and in pretty similar opportunities. I mean, Jared Goff is not exactly Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, so I'm loving that value you can get on Devonta Smith. 11th round, that's decent.
So flip the coin. Who's the one player you're probably not going to have a lot of in your redrafts this year? Who's the one player you look at and go, really? You picked him there? No chance. Who are you missing?
Well, it's obviously related to Devonta Smith, and it is AJ Brown. And it's not because I don't like AJ Brown, because I absolutely love the guy. I love the talent. He was my wide receiver 3 before the move to Philadelphia. So he's moved down a few spots now, but because of that, I think he's still going to get drafted higher than I want to take him. I don't want to take him because of it. He's obviously a brilliant wide receiver, but just I worry about the offense. And can Jalen Hurts take that next step? If he doesn't, if he's still got accuracy issues and that, then I think AJ Brown's going to be very inconsistent this year. I don't think he's going to get targeted an absolute ton. They're obviously still going to be running the ball first, so he's going to be someone that I'm just going to avoid to start off with and look for a different wide receiver in that category.
So Brown went off the board as wide receiver 8 in this draft. I mean, I don't think he's got wide receiver 8 performance. And Deontay Johnson went 2 rounds later. I'll pick up Deontay Johnson all day long instead of AJ Brown.
Yeah.
But what you've said, the fact you've done that with Brown and Smith just says something that me and Murph speak about all the time, where when you've got a 1-2 and you're in a redraft, take the second option all day long. We spoke about it with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. There was almost identical performances last year. You could probably get Gordon a 6-7 round reduction. Take it.
Yeah.
AJ Brown there in this instance, the 3-10, Devonta Smith 11-3. Take the 8 round reduction. Take Devonta Smith. Yeah. We said it with Judy and Sutton. Judy's obviously got a few other issues that may hamper him this year. We don't quite know the full extent. But again, I'll take the value pick rather than the early pick on that. Always take, in that instance, I guess the second one that comes to you. Because all of those guys that you take in second, and I'd actually argue Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown and possibly even DJ Shark, I'd be quite happy to take whoever comes second or third in a draft and think they're almost going to be equivaluable. And it's something me and Murph speak about quite a bit, is looking at where you don't know who there's a clear 1 and a clear 2. Take the value pick all day long and go elsewhere with your draft early on where you know it's a bit of a safer bet.
Yeah, exactly. It was a classic with the 49ers running back last year with the 2 rookies, Elijah Mitchell, Trey Sermon coming out. I was just taking Elijah Mitchell everywhere I could because he was falling to the 4th, 5th round of rookie drafts, and he was so much cheaper. And just look how it played out. You know, they had an equal opportunity. They don't always look at draft capital on that team. So certainly.
And now in your dynasty leagues, you're selling that 4th round pick for a 1st round pick, right?
Exactly. You have to. That's how you make your dynasty team better. You have to keep getting value where you can and selling for profit.
Super. Ali, I think that just about wraps up what we're doing. I'd like to thank you for coming on and joining me. We was due to have Lewis with us, who popped on last week, but unfortunately something come up and Lewis couldn't make it. So thanks for extending your vocal cords even further and helping out with that one. Again, before we go, you mentioned earlier your streamer fund and what you do. Plug it once again for us. Let's get as many people on there as we can for you.
Yeah, so the Fantasy Wildcard Streamathon is this Saturday, the 21st, I think it is, this Saturday. We start at, I believe, 9 a.m. and we don't finish till 2 a.m., which is interesting. It's going to be 16 hours of just pure. Well, it's going to be dynasty talk, but I mean, we talk about what's going to happen this year. We talk about every single NFL team. We've got some fantastic guests coming on. We're raising money for Mind Charity, which look after people with mental health struggles, which we've seen so many people, including myself, sort of having mental health struggles during the lockdown and things like that. And they can really help out people. So they're certainly close to our hearts. So we're raising money for those. So, I mean, if you can join us for an hour, 10 minutes, whatever, during Saturday, we'll be on live streaming. You can find us on the Fantasy Wildcard, and we're going to have lots of fun, great guests, and talking all about fantasy football and raising some important money for Mind Charity.
Great. I don't know how your partner lets you do 16 hours straight. Munch, I'm just let me sit in a room on my own for an hour. I know you'll be talking about all sorts. You'll probably be talking about what you're having for dinner and breakfast and lunch, being on that long. But I will be tuning in. I can't, unfortunately, cover the whole thing. I'm sure most can't, but dip in and out when you can. Last year's was fantastic. It's so great to get so many superb guests on. This is what I have to say. Learn a little bit. And pop back, because sometimes you get a difference of opinion a bit later on from someone else as well. And it's great to hear both sides of those arguments that people put forward. So make sure to check it out. Dynasty Wildcard this Saturday. Ali, anything else from you, sir, before we wrap this one up?
No, you can just find me on FF Dynasty Grill. I've got big time back into writing articles, which I haven't done for quite a while now. So I've got the bug for it. So you can catch some of my articles coming out on King Fantasy Sports. And just thanks for having me on, Dan. I've had a good time chatting fantasy football, and we didn't talk too much about the Buccaneers, but
we didn't.
We all know that we're going to win the Super Bowl this year again.
Of course we are. Of course we are. Again, Ali, I'd like to thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. It's always great to meet you guys. That we chat so much online and stuff, and to put a name and a face to it is fantastic. With that, do follow Ali. Do follow us, 5 Yard Rush, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And until next week, don't remember, keep rushing.